10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6.
Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Pat. Today is September 4th, and we're going to start this episode with this amazing tweet thread that Jasper put out. So let's get started. So a few days ago, you might remember that Langus put out a kind of a roadmap of what the next two updates for Rocket Pool are going to look like, Houston plus Saturn. And here we have information from Jasper about what those are and what it means that those are going to be in the next update for Rocket Pool. So here Jasper says there's two major upgrades coming, Houston and Saturn, and this will complete architecture redesign, 10 times scalability increase, on-chain governance, the birth of Rocket Pool Layer 2s, and LEB 8s will go towards a bonding curve, potentially as low as 1 .x ETH, like somewhere like 1 plus some bits of ETH. And then it says Rocket Pool roadmap for making permissionlessness scale. So let's have a look. It's a 30 tweet thread. And Jasper says that there's two main focuses, roughly scale, like just with Ethereum, there's scaling layer 1 and scaling layer 2s, and the different bits of different ways of doing that. So here Jasper says that with layer 1 scaling, like on Ethereum, is like through gas, and layer 2 is like through blobs and proto-dunk sharding. It says in parallel with the Rocket Pool, you can scale staking with about a 10 times increase when you figure out MEV theft, and with mega pools, and with the layer 2 you kind of expand that with node operators. Of course, that's node set. So Jasper goes on to say if everyone is excited for the upcoming Dankun hard fork, and that is with EIP 4844, which is proto-dunk sharding, but he says EIP 4788 is being criminally slept on. This EIP will enable the execution layer to better read the consensus layer for things like oracles. So there's a whole lot of information here that you can go and dig into with like lots of subtweets and threads and pieces of information. But I'll just give you Jasper's tweets here, and you can go and chase that information up yourself. So Jasper goes on to say, for the Rocket Pool ecosystem, this will set the scene for significant decentralization and ecosystem enhancements. With this hard fork will come Houston. So Houston is setting a strong foundation for Rocket Pool. It has decentralization plus layer 2s as the main things that's going to come in. And the decentralization will come from the on-chain governance that we've talked about on Rocket Fuel a bunch of times, where voting will happen on-chain instead of through Snapshot, and the guardianship will be going away. And then it says, Rocket Pool is one of the only DAOs that uses quadratic voting, and with a unique system of only allowing effective RPL to vote, it required a bespoke build. So that is being built by Kane, and that is going to go into Houston. And then Jasper goes on to see building on the Aave integration, where users can borrow RPL against our ETH. Node operators will be the first time people can participate as a node operator for Rocket Pool while maintaining only ETH exposure. The RPL risk will be abstracted away to other parties. So here's really exciting stuff. Node operators who join node operators will be able to take on additional mini pools for bonus yield. At the same time, users will mint XRETH and XRPL. So the way that will happen roughly, like the design stuff is still to come out, but there will be two pools. One pool will be for ETH. You put in your ETH, you get out XRETH. The other pool will be for RPL. You put in your RPL, get out XRPL. So XRPL will be the first LST for RPL, of course. So when these two pools have ETH and RPL in them, those will be joined together to form a validator, and then that validator will be sent to an existing node operator on the Rocket Pool network who has opted in to a node set, and then they will kind of like run that validator. They will get a small portion of the fees, mainly through like the commission income, and then NodeSet will get, I presume, a portion of the fees, and then the actual person who deposited their ETH will get a raw income that is comparable to solo staking or thereabouts without having to pay any commission. So there's some interesting dynamics that are still being worked out, but this is what's coming. So Jasper says, as exciting as this layer 2 network will be, Saturn is like the release of a new protocol, a complete conceptual rewrite that makes the protocol self-aware. With this one big upgrade, Rocket Pool will prove wrong all those that believe permissionless liquid staking tokens could not scale. So then Jasper explains Saturn. He says, redesigning the protocol so that node operators mini pools are aware of each other in one large collateral pool. LEBX slash mega pools is the release of a bonding curve that drops the barrier to start a new pool down to as little as 1.x ETH. Nothing will be the same. And 1.x ETH means just more than 1 ETH, but we're not exactly sure where that, how much more than 1 ETH that will be. So Jasper goes on to explain mega pools as metaphor, saying it's like trying to balance a book on a toothpick. You can't really do that. But with a single toothpick, you can't do that. But if you use many toothpicks, you can support many books. So Jasper says that right now Rocket Pool is limited to one stick. However, with Saturn, we're going to start connecting those sticks for each node operator. And then Jasper says, every validator on the Rocket Pool network provides collateral for itself and itself only. With mega pools, each silo is connected, completely changing the risk calculus. The progression will be 16 ETH bond to 8 ETH bond to a scaling bond. And we've talked about that on Rocket Fuel before as well. Here Jasper says this is a clever curve. The left bound will be dominated by MEV theft analysis. The right bound will be limitations of the Ethereum spec based on execution slashing risk. The expected range is 8 ETH on the left and 1.x ETH on the right. For growth, this is a 10 times opportunity. Jasper says the left side of the curve will be steep and likely will be that one LEB8 user will already be able to launch one LEB4. Research on these curves is being conducted, but we can already think about consequences knowing this is a paradigm shift, and then there's a link to a GitHub post. Megapools cannot launch before forced exits are enabled on the Ethereum spec. Without it, users could launch temporary validators, spin up many minimal bond pools, and exit all the high collateral temporary ones. This would leave the node under collateralized on the curve. Impacts of mega pools: reduced commission, massive RETH scaling, greatly reduced gas costs for node operators, super rocket arb, and LEB1.x. So let's see what we're getting here. Jasper saying wait, commission change. When Rocket Pool had introduced Atlas to go from 16 ETH to 8 LEB8s, the commission dropped from 15% to 14%, but node operators still made more with LEB8s. The lower the ETH bond, the lower the commission needs to be to meet the status quo. So here Jasper gives an example, but there's been some developments on this particular post from others in trading. So I'll just read what Jasper says, and then I'll kind of very quickly explain what others in trading have said. So here Jasper says, let's take LEB2 for example. If we keep 14% commission, and LEB2 would earn and then there's a little thing, and it would earn 0.248 ETH. That's 12.4% pure ETH APR. It doesn't need to be that high. At 7% commission, they'll earn 0.164 ETH or 8.2%. So they'd get a higher APR than LEB8 at half the commission that the RETH holders would pay. Now, this particular tweet had some issues where Valdorf and Noshua especially were kind of pointing out that the balancing is actually quite more complicated than just what Jasper's presented us here, and it seems like the APR won't be able to go, the commission won't be able to go that low unless the RPL collateral amount also goes lower, because of the fact that if you have high RPL collateral requirements on LEB2s, then you have to get like a total a global income rate, and that would actually be lower than what you get with solo staking if you put all that ETH and RPL into solo staking instead. So that kind of being the benchmark means that the lowest commission would be able to go with LEB2s while keeping current RPL levels of collateral would be around 11.5%. So even though it's a lot lower now than what we have with LEB8s, it still isn't at 10%, but it is also still not at not that 8.2%. Sorry, the 7% number that Jasper was showing here. So there's definitely some intricacies here that I think Jasper missed in this thread, and I wanted to point them out because it's important to know that. So Jasper goes on to say, let that sink in. We could lower the RETH commission 50%, so not quite 50%, all the way from 14% to 7%, not quite 7%. And node operator ETH APR will still be higher than it is today. Jasper goes on to say, RETH will compete with STETH on APR grounds without sacrificing its commitment to permissionless staking. So it seems like that won't quite be possible unless there's some reworking to the RPL rewards amount as well. Jasper, he says, at the same time, megapools scale the RETH supply to an incredible degree. Let's consider 32 node operator ETH, 2 LEB16s versus 16 LEB2s in terms of RETH lifted. So, the old system was you brought 16 ETH, you got 16 ETH from the RETH holders. So, your 16 ETH lifted 32 ETH. With with 4 LEB8s, you'd lift 96 ETH, which is a huge improvement. However, with 16 LEB2s, you would lift 480 ETH. And Jasper goes on to say this represents a 5 to 10x scaling factor for many, which is absolutely amazing. This is like the really key information here. It's absolutely beautiful. Jasper says, let's not forget Rocket Arb. Some whales pocketed more than 15 ETH by arbing the premium way by launching LEB8s. LEB2s would be around 5 times more powerful, and at a 1% premium, LEB8 gets you a bonus of 0.24 ETH, but 4 LEB2s will give you a bonus of 1.2 ETH. So Jasper says, buy 4 LEB2s, get 1 almost free. So the yield there would be absolutely amazing in terms of Rocket Arb as well. And then Jasper says, Rocket Arb and megapools will create a powerful tool to grow the RETH supply as long as there is demand to fill the deposit pool. This combination is sufficient to support millions of ETH staked in Rocket Pool, even without the support of new node operators joining. So that's the key information there. I think that's one of the key pieces of information, actually, before we move on. I just want to add my own commentary, is after Atlas, we saw huge growth for the Rocket Pool TVL. However, there wasn't necessarily we didn't add a single new, we would have had huge growth without adding any new node operators. Of course, we added a huge number of new node operators, but what I mean to say is the growth potential unlock really helps with changing the requirement levels, so much so that you can get the huge increase in TVL without necessarily having to onboard more new node operators. The impact of that, of course, is that the RPL amount of collateral needed might already be present for some of these node operators, so the demand of RPL could be overstated, and it might not transpire into reality. And I think that's one of the things that happened around Atlas, is that we were hyped that we were going to get so many new node operators, and that was going to lead to a huge amount of RPL purchasing and getting staked. However, a lot of node operators were already highly over collateralized, and they were able to bond reduce and onboard so much more RETH without having to stake more RPL. So that's going to definitely be a really interesting dynamic to see how this huge scaling factor is going to increase the demand for RETH. But I'm really curious and excited to see how that's going to work out. Okay, getting back to Jasper, he says, last Christmas I wrote an essay outlining the next decade for Rocket Pool. Many of my predictions have borne out, such as CBETH becoming a flywheel, slowly bleeding Coinbase's stake. LEB2s are just a glimmer at the time, our own moon math. And then Jasper says, just like ZK rollups coming online faster than anyone expected, Rocket Pool is lowering its bond safely to levels we previously only dreamed of. Mega Pools is the rebirth of Rocket Pool with all the experience of the past 2 years incorporated. And then Jasper says, to recap, Rocket Pool is following in Ethereum's footsteps in staking. Be modular to maximize layer efficiency. Don't compromise centralization for stake. Embrace layer 2s for experimentation and trade-offs. Dream big and embrace the moon math. Houston will establish the tools needed for node operators, NodeSet, to build on top of Rocket Pool and bring in on-chain governance. Saturn will change everything, rebuild Rocket Pool's capital-efficient protocol with lower commission, RETH. And then the screenshot of Langers's post. Jasper says, yes, Rocket Pool has been slow to go live. Yes, RETH can't grow as fast as STETH right now. Yes, RETH is closer to CBETH than STETH and APY. All of this changes this year. The course is set on reaching the Rocket Pool endgame. Houston, Saturn, Rocket Pool. So Jasper, like a lot of people commenting really positively, saying this is really positive post, and really great to see that. So that was wonderful. Jasper, thank you so much for putting together this thread. You definitely have taken the title of Threador. Jasper had been sitting on this thread for a while, and I think he started seeing some price action on Discord here, and was immediately like, oh, let me drop this. So he put out a poll saying, I've got a thread, should I release it now or wait until a better time tomorrow? And everybody's like, wait until a better time tomorrow. But then that isn't what happened, because people started buying, and then Jasper posts it, and the bots are kind of going crazy here with a whole lot of buying action. The ratio really spiked. The price was below $21 at one point, and it really went up above $25 for a significant portion of time. If we have a look at Binance here, you can see that the price was down to $21.19, and as the buying kind of started, there was this huge candle up to $29. So someone was out there buying a whole lot of RPL, and there was definitely like a lot of price action that was really cool, and the price really pumped. So Jasper got his thread out, but the ratio went up to 0.0155. There was it was just spectacular. So a lot of people were thinking, who is buying, what's going on, what's happening here. Even the selling was overcome with buying quite strongly, quite quickly, and the ratio really pumped about 15%, I think, at one point. Here's the Mambo-san sharing the screenshot of the Binance chart with a huge wick up to $29. Yeah, there was a lot of discussion about what was going on here, and the price, of course, was really appreciated. There was a huge pump, so that was really great. There's nothing like a price pump to get the community galvanized, so that was awesome. Also, at the same kind of time, a little while later, here we had a whale who staked 34,600 RPL onto a block. It was worth 458 ETH. Kind of poking around in their wallet shows that they've got 270 mini pools, but what they did was they brought online I think 180 of them yesterday, which was absolutely wonderful. Really great to see that people are bringing on their validators online with huge amounts of RPL as well. So that was exciting to see. I kind of started trying to poke around some addresses here about who was buying and what kind of buying was happening, what was taking place, and it seems like this wallet here was one of the ones that was buying. They filled it with 300 plus, nearly 400 ETH of wrapped ETH, and they were using CowSwap to buy over the course of a few hours in chunks of 10 ETH at a time, or between 8 and 10 ETH at a time. So that was going on quite a lot. and then they yeah, so that I think I still need to spend a bit more time kind of poking around with this and seeing what's going on with it. But this person definitely bought a whole lot of RPL, and I'm just trying to, yeah, I'll poke around a little bit more. But that was really, really great to see. And then this kind of like brought people attention to what Marceau said a few days ago. Rocket Doctor ETH said, so a guy with 230 mini pools exits, has 30,000 RPL that isn't being staked anymore. So I think what happened is that the person with the 34,000 RPL might have been someone who like restaked it, and then Marceau had this comment saying, in fact, we have the opposite problem. I have an OTC, like over the counter buyer, who can't find a counterparty who wants to sell. If anyone wants to sell OTC in a decent size, DM me. So, he says everything will be clear in a few days when the RPL moves. So I think that might have been something that was going on there. And then it might have been that the over-the-counter buyer who couldn't find someone to sell them directly was just market buying. So there are a few different dynamics going on here, but I'm excited for it. I'm here for it. I love that more validators are coming online, and I love that people are still buying RPL in size. And say it quietly, but a whole lot of people have been talking about like the bottom being in and the ratio having bottomed already. People kind of waiting for 0.012 on the ratio, somewhere around there. We haven't quite gone that low yet. We've gone into the 0.013s a couple of times. Let's see if we've pumped out of that range twice now. Let's see if we go back to that range again. But there's a lot of stuff going on here. If anyone has more clear information on who was buying and staking stuff here, let me know, and I'll cover it in tomorrow's episode. Okay, then a couple of other things have happened that I love to see. Like there's RETH is still being minted, and nice deposits of ETH are coming into the deposit pool. Let's have a quick look at what's going on there. So because of the deposit pool being full and the ARB coming out now, you see that the weekly inflows have gone up tremendously. They're kind of like in the low, middle single thousands, but since then they've kind of gone into the low 10, like the 10 to 50, like the teens basically. So that's definitely helping more RETH being minted, and of course the ARB is kind of working really nicely there. But there've been many days of over 2,000 3,000 ETH deposited in a day, and that I'm really excited about as well. So you can see the RETH number now that we have. I think the information is vanished from this page. I'm not sure where it's gone. There were a couple. I think there was an update of RocketScan that introduced a couple of bugs recently. So there were pieces of information here that have gone. Let me see if I can find the Dr. Worm dashboard. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so with the Dr. Worm dashboard, we can see now that the RETH supply is at 525,000 right here, and that's looking really solid. I'm really liking that. The premium, of course, has gone down to pretty much zero again because it's been arbed away so much. But as that pops up again, then we'll get another wave of node operators who will arb that away. I'm sure there's a lot of people waiting on the sidelines who are going to be feasting on that in the days to come. Okay, and then again today we had this large smoothing pool proposal, and that was worth 75 ETH. So the smoothing pool balance, in less than a week, is at 139 ETH. This is the third biggest ever smoothing pool proposal that we've gotten. So that's really nice as well that the smoothing pool is doing so well. So there's a couple of nice things happening, with the protocol. A lot of positive momentum is starting to take place in terms of TVL growth, smoothing pool, and deposits, all that kind of stuff. So I'm really excited to see how all of that is going to keep growing, and good things are going to happen. Okay, so a few weeks ago, actually a month ago, in August, we had this job position opened for the GMC administrator. There was information about the what the job is, like what kind of work we need, and all that kind of stuff coming together. People applied using this thread, asked questions. There were a bunch of people who applied here, but today the GMC made a decision, and this is the official statement of the GMC, so I can read that out to you all. The GMC said, hello, dear GMC admin applicants. Thank you for your interest in this position. After much deliberation and interviews with 3 candidates that were maintained for further consideration, the GMC has held a vote that resulted in the majority for Shifrin, our interim admin. This decision was not an easy one, as we had many interesting profiles apply with tons of expertise and effort. Nevertheless, we are happy with the dedication and unwavering commitment that Shifrin brought towards his interim role, which resulted in truly outstanding work, hence cementing our decision of retaining him as the official GMC admin for the coming year. We would like to thank each and every one of the applicants for their interest in the GMC and for their application. So this was a really nice process that happened. It actually, happened really well in the end. I was really happy with it. Like, the GMC members really came together to put it together without having an admin helping us along the way, because the admin obviously had a conflict of interest. But it worked really nicely. So I'm really happy that Shifrin is hired, and I'm sure that Shifrin is going to do a great job as the GMC admin in the coming year. So that's awesome. The next big thing from the GMC is a new slate of GMC members. People will be able to nominate, I think, in next month, and then there'll be elections again because our year is almost up. So that's really exciting. But of course, there's a grants period open right now. Actually, this is a nice time for me to have a quick look at that and see if people have been applying. So we have this one reply for a grant. Let's see what the grant is. So here we have Georgia OpenX. So it says Node Operator and Community User Research Study. Here there is the work that's being done. So it says for version of this grant application with all links included, grant proposal, what is final and public links, Google links. Okay, so an in-depth user research study will be conducted on surface needs, pains, goals, and experience of Rocket Pool node operators and community members. The insights and recommendation will support those making decisions in the DAO, improve engagement and messaging, identify new product service opportunities that support Rocket Pool's ethos. So they want to do some kind of they want to do some kind of user study, and then there'll be payments and interviews that will go out and stuff like that, so you can get paid to give information. So there's a whole lot of information here, and they are asking for a 12-week project, and they want to be paid $50,000. Happy to be paid in stablecoin or RPL for the equivalent value, and then they have milestones that they want to reach and all that information. So that's just one of the grants that is in. If you want to submit a grant, you have until September 9th to do that. You can of course also submit a bounty that you want someone else to do work, or you can submit a retroactive award for yourself. So far there have been no bounty applications, and there have been 2 retrospective award applications, one from Shifrin and one from Cal for doing GMC work. So that is really good stuff. Definitely check that out if you are interested in any of that. Okay, a couple of weeks ago we covered on Rocket Fuel about nearly a month ago. We talked about there being this change and using having RPL below 10% staked, being able to vote on snapshot votes. So here Waldorf says, okay, it seems like everyone that spends enough time is coming to essentially the same conclusion, that when RPIP4 was finalized, this gave weight to RPL from 0 to 150%. At a later time, the smart contract was changed, so the function being used gave weight to RPL from 10 to 150%. This change may have been desirable for other purposes, but was not a purposeful PDAO directed change to voting power. And then Waldorf goes on to say RPIP1 allows changes to final RPIP to correct ERRATA errata. I have no idea what that is. And add non-normative clarifications. This seems like a good candidate. And then there's a change about how that is calculated. So here there's a call to action. Please vote. So do you agree about the intentions of RPIP? Do you mostly agree? Do you disagree? Do you disagree or not? And then there's a nice little discussion that started here from Pieter, Noshua, and Waldorf, getting involved with a nice little back and forth about like the law versus the spirit of the law. And then Patches kind of like closed up some of that discussion with this comment here, saying that there should be two votes, one where the current voting power votes on the changes, and another where those of 0 to 150 power changes votes as well, and see how it all comes together. So thank you all for that discussion. I think we'll be seeing that going to a snapshot vote soon. Okay, next we talked about Aave last week and how they did a great job of responding to the Rocket Pool community's needs, and they expanded their supply pool for RPL from 210,000 to 420,000. Well, it looks like some eager whales or a whole lot of like smaller community members got together and have kind of filled that whole pool now. So there is 419,750 RPL out of 420,000 RPL that exists in this pool now. The borrow rate, of course, changed as well to 160,000, and that is now at 88% utilized, which is 55%. So they are currently paying 2.26% APY variable, and if you are a depositor of your RPL, you're getting 0.38% as a return on that, which isn't too high, but it's better than zero if it's just set on your wallet. And of course, you can withdraw at any time. So Aave is like, people are really using this service. I think it's really exciting. One of the things that's really interesting is going back to what Jasper was saying in his thread. So this pool can be kind of seen as a stopgap to before NodeSet comes out, and they start accepting RPL deposits to be matched with ETH deposits. Well, there's a whole lot of demand of RPL to be used that is just sitting idly, and I think this is kind of showing that, and that's really exciting. It's something that I'm really excited to see. Like, if we get 420,000 RPL, potentially more, I think it'll be a lot more because the rewards will be a lot higher. But we could potentially see millions of RPL coming into NodeSet in a matter of months. Of course, Aave has a whole lot more Lindy than NodeSet does. It doesn't even have a product yet, but that's something I'm definitely going to be keeping a close eye on, because I feel like the scope, the potential is there for NodeSet to have really explosive growth, at least in the beginning, and that is something I'm really excited about. Okay, moving on here, we had a new interview that was released, with Sunshine as part of Rocket Pool node operators and, Stake Rocket Pool. Sunshine here interviewed Ken. Of course, I love Ken. He's awesome. Thanks for standing in for the weekly orbit last week, Ken. But Ken here was talking about all the different things about being a node operator, and in the show notes, it says, Ken's a great teacher, experienced technologist who can break down complex topics into digestible insights. So like, how does MEV work, and how does a Rocket Pool smoothing pool help node operators earn more ETH? And then there's an idea that it's easier than you think to become a node operator, which is kind of the whole point of this this series, which is really cool. So if you want to give that a watch and listen, that's about 45 minutes long, and you can check it out. It's a really nice little conversation that they had. Okay, the validator queue on the beacon chain is below 50,000 validators, which is going to take 18 days. I think we've kind of reached a point now where this number is getting kind of like lower and lower. It hasn't quite reached an equilibrium point, but it seems like we've got a little bit lower to go. I think 18 days is really nice because it gives Rocket Pool node operators the chance of kind of moving their nodes around and like their validators around and like rebonding and stuff. And I think it's going to be really wonderful to hopefully unleash any more demand for becoming a Rocket Pool node operator for people who are just terrified of going through this beacon chain queue. Now they can have everything set up and ready and get online quite quickly within a rewards period, so they don't miss out on anything in that time. And I think that is really great. I'll probably stop providing updates for the Validator queue website here unless something like really special happens, like we get through like a huge thousands of validators added or something like that. But otherwise, I think now that people are kind of aware of where we stand with this, that 18 days number is perfectly fine for a whole bunch of node operators to take advantage of that for Rocket Pool. I'm really hoping that we'll see some really interesting stuff come out because of that. Okay, finally, I'm going to finish today's episode with this this post from Reza.eth saying, today Vitalik stopped by the Reflexer Finance Discord to share his thoughts on what Maker's endgame means for Rye. He thinks Rye could be an activist for minority LSDs, an answer to Lido controlling 30+%. This would require more control than we have over Rye. So it's basically a discussion about Rye governance and what it means to make changes to Rye and how we can use Rye to help combat ST ETH dominance and Lido dominance. So there's a couple of screenshots from discussions about what Vitalik here said, and there was a post from Rune that was kind of making shockwaves on crypto Twitter this week, talking about Maker moving away from Ethereum eventually and onto like a new chain. Vitalik says, this has made me change my mind on one chain. I think it's somewhat more okay than before for the Rye community to have somewhat more activist governance than I thought before. Not going all the way, but like being okay with doing more active governance to support staked ETH, and ideally intentionally accepting only non-dominant forms of staked ETH, so not Lido. My reasoning here is that before I saw stablecoins as being a three-part schema, like in my post, and then here there's centralized stablecoins, DAO-governed real-world asset-backed stablecoins, governance minimized crypto-backed stablecoins with like governance advantages, disadvantages, and examples. And then Vitalik goes on to say where Maker DAO is by far the leading project in the first niche and also makes strategic sense both from Rye's own perspective and from the Ethereum ecosystem's what would be most valuable for Rye to be doing perspective, for Rye to take on the minimalistic niche. But if MakerDAO is torpedoing itself in a weird direction, then it makes natural sense for Rye to move somewhat closer to that middle category. In my opinion, not all the way. I think there is value in maintaining some kind of norm of ETH is the collateral. That is really interesting points by Vitalik. The main thing that really stuck out to a whole lot of people was this first paragraph, right, about using only non-dominant forms of staked ETH. So I think that was a really crucial point, and it kind of sent shockwaves throughout crypto Twitter, and a whole lot of people got talking about Lido dominance again, with Lido shills coming out today, kind of like trying to support Lido, but the more organic and like real community members kind of really being critical of Lido. I made a couple of tweets about this and like kind of the fallout from this. So we talked about how I was making comments regarding Bankless stuff last week, and that was on the show on Bankless. But here I said, when I tweeted at Bankless a few days ago saying our leaders needed to stop accepting advertising from projects that build heavily on Lido, I meant what Vitalik Buterin is saying, is talking about in this discussion here. Start prioritizing other LSTs, not Lido, should be our mantra. So a project that I've supported a huge amount on rocket fuel is something like Gravita. I've talked about Gravita a whole lot. Gravita, of course, accepts ST ETH, right? Or maybe it's wrapped ST ETH, but like the Lido ETH. Maybe as more and more of these products are coming out, they should be launching without ST ETH. Like as a community, as an Ethereum community and developers, and like leaders in the space, like app developers, it might be worth it to just say no to Lido. Just like Vitalik here says not Lido, maybe all of us need to be saying not Lido, whether that's show hosts not accepting advertising money from or refusing to advertise projects that build heavily on Lido, to integrate like new products integrating Lido. We should just say we don't want to integrate Lido in our product. Maybe that would limit that project's growth. That is definitely a possibility. But not doing so would jeopardize the existence of Ethereum. So there's a fine line to be said there. I'm not deliberately picking on Gravita as an example of a protocol that should be doing this. The reason why I'm mentioning Gravita is because I've supported Gravita so much, so I know that hopefully Rhett won't be offended by me saying Gravita there. But I'm just using it as an example. I'm not saying that Gravita should be doing this. I'm just saying protocols in general as a whole should not be doing this. And because I have so much love for the Gravita guys, I feel like it's not going too far as using them as an example in that situation. But I'm not trying to give them advice or tell them what they should be doing. I think they're doing a great job as it is. But yeah, again, then I released a new tweet saying not Lido. The sooner you learn this and none the better. If you don't want to listen to me, then listen to Vitalik. So this is I think has to become the mantra of the Ethereum community, and those of us who want to value decentralization and the longevity of Ethereum. Everything should be the position of not Lido. Like we are the ones who have to kind of start taking these steps now, because it's gone too far, and there's definitely a better way here of doing things. So on that note, I'm going to end today's episode. But this not Lido stance, I think it's something that hopefully will come out more and more in my shows in the future, especially when I'm talking about DeFi projects and integrations. But on that note, I'm going to end today's episode. It actually went a bit longer than I thought it would, but that happens sometimes. Thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I hope you all had a lovely weekend, and here's to a great week ahead. Bye.